What's up, everyone? I decided to do a quick little live stream here for the next hour. I was not feeling particularly productive, and my next meeting is an hour away, so I decided just to quickly give you guys an update here since I haven't done a whole heck of a lot. Wait, what am I trying to say? I have been super crazy busy since pretty much the start of October. I've been traveling every weekend, so the video production has certainly fallen off, but there are a few videos in the works, and Becca got her video done yesterday, so that bought me just a little bit of time. Anyway, let's take a walk around. One of the videos I do plan on doing coming up here is one on this tank. It's my Euphilia tank, and we've been slowly planting a bunch of different colonies in here, and some of the frags that we've put in are starting to turn into colonies. This tank is slightly cloudy just because we did a water change earlier this morning, but I can tell that the corals are already starting to perk up. This is one of those 250-gallon tanks that we got, made from Derek, and I forget the name of his company off the top of my head, but they did the tanks over at Top Shelf Aquatics. And this is the other tank that he made. And this one is slowly but surely filling out. This is a Goniopora tank. We haven't glued anything down here, I don't believe. These are all just Gonioporas on different discs. And of course, this little tiny one there is an Amazeballs Goni that is not happy. We probably need to remove him from this tank because he's been kind of unhappy there for a couple of days now, which is always concerning because that's such a nice Goniopora. And I gotta apologize in advance if I missed chat because it only stays on my phone screen for just a few seconds. But thanks all for coming and hanging out with me. I plan on going live here for about an hour. So if you guys have any questions or comments, let's see if I see it at all. This is the one of the two big 600-gallon show tanks. This is the one with the, excuse me. This is the one with the Orphic fixtures above it. We were running these Orphic fixtures at about 5%. And once we start to put in some corals, we'll start to dial that up. But we're still kind of like slowly building out the aquascape. We added an Achilles tang, and he's in there with a black tang, which you see there. There's a little flamingi hanging out in there, and there's three, what are those things called? Tamini tangs. Yeah, this tank here is going to be kind of a mixed reef, but more LPS dominated. And it might not look it, but there is a ton of flow in here. So the bulk of the flow is being produced by these two pumps by Siche. There's one there and one there. These are the Voyager 10s, and they make a flow that wraps around all 10 feet. So it goes 10 feet in that direction, and then it whips around, and it comes all the way rushing back. So if I feed a little bit of mysis right at this pump, it'll shoot it in a big U shape The other thing that provides flow, kind of hidden some closed loops. So that's a four-way, and that is being powered down below by an Abyss 200. So the intake for that guy is way over here, kind of hidden, and he comes out there. And similarly, we're going to be hiding, once we have a little bit more of an aquascape, there's an intake there, and then an output there for the second Abyss 200. And that just kind of helps to circulate all the water inside the aquarium, whereas the Voyager 10 pumps that are against that overflow box wall kind of produce this big flow around the whole thing. Yeah, when it comes to doing fish stuff, I am simply not the guy. Unfortunately, we don't have the best luck with fish. Like, I'm much more a coral person than a fish person. We try our best with fish. For example, I can take a slow walk over here. See, we are starting to fill up all these systems. It took a little while because we're being ultra conservative with our stocking. Just trying to not have as many problems as in the past. So we typically are, pretty diligent when it comes to trying to get stuff through quarantine. But for fish quarantine, we put together a dedicated fish quarantine system. We have the cart full of all the treatments and chemicals and different types of fish foods and whatnot. And I think a lot of it just comes down to sourcing of the fish. That's kind of what I'm hearing, is that if the fish are coming in rough shape, if they just weren't handled properly upstream, they're almost doomed. It doesn't matter what you do once you get them. It's really difficult to get them back from the brink. But we really didn't spare much in the way of expense trying to put this guy together. Each one has its own separate filtration. You can see how we've kind of like done the electrical in this back wall. Every single system has its own pump shut-off for easy maintenance. So, for example, if you wanted just to do a water change on this guy, we can power off all the things that would kind of prevent you from doing a water change easily. So all the pumps, the heaters and power heads and whatnot, all shut off together. You can service this tank and then kick everything back on, but it won't turn off the stuff that's unaffected, for example, the lighting. So you'll always have the lights there to work with and all that fun stuff. But the idea behind all of this stuff, because, breaking everything up into its own electrical, just for quick and easy maintenance, is just so that maintenance actually gets done. That's kind of one of my mottos around here, is that if there's anything that kind of prevents maintenance, it's got to be changed. That's like the number one thing. It's like a kind of weaponized laziness. Make it as absolutely easy as possible. Now we've got our other 600-gallon show tank that is growing our Acropora collection. The glass in this tank needs to be cleaned a little bit, but you can see here definitely some good growth that we're getting now. We started all of these things off with tiny frags. Do you find that locally grown fish do better than imported? Yeah, definitely. For example, I wouldn't say locally grown, but the fish that come from a hobbyist's aquarium, they are so much more robust than something we would get from a wholesaler. It's not even funny. This tank lately had got a little bit cyano, and we came up with a pretty neat little brush vacuum, or siphon, I should say, that is kind of neat. I'll have to, if I can find it real quick, I'll show you. I don't know where the guys put it. But yeah, you can see a little bit of cyano breaking out where there's like a pile of detritus or something. But even still, you can see this big green slimer colony. It's like 5 times bigger than what it used to be. The guy in the middle there, believe that is a PC Rainbow, I think. I'm like so bad on some of the naming. This guy here, I do know that's a home wrecker. Give you an idea of how big he's become. And over here, that is a, what do you call it? Those are Walt Disney's. And Andrew K, thank you for bringing in that blue tang. I'll show you what that looks like in a sec. Yeah, and the thing is, like, a lot of our frags of everything else are growing super well. Like, check out all these Ghanies. I don't know what looks better, this or without. So I'm using that clip-on lens filter. It's not bad. It's not my favorite look in the world because it is a little bit more yellow-orange than what it looks like in person. But yeah. And I think in general, I need to get back in here and start to feed a little bit more aggressively. When I'm more on my game for feeding, these guys do a lot better. And I stuff them with mysis shrimp. You can see the mysis there. But really fat and happy, different types of LPS. It's a little setup for the portion of a show that we're going to be doing fairly soon here in a couple weeks. Here, I'll swing around this way, show you some more LPS. What are some tips on keeping Bernard Bora? I think the biggest tip that I can give is to give them plenty of space. I think people like to crowd them with like things like Goniapora, and they tend to fight a lot. And then also to feed like crazy and try to feed a blend of different things. Certain corals really respond to certain types of food, and it's just a matter of trying to find that type of food that they really like. But nutrition, I think, is one of those lacking things in this hobby. Then over here, we've got the bulk of our SPS growing. Do you ever use check valves for your return lines? No, I don't. Check valves are one of those things that are guaranteed to fail. The cheap ones work better than the expensive ones. It's not one of those things that I find particularly helpful. So I design my systems in such a way that if the power goes out, it doesn't matter. The sump, which is located right there, can take the back siphon entirely. So I don't have to worry about check valves. So yeah, in essence, it really just comes down to system design. Blastomusa and how they grow. You know, I'm gonna turn off these pumps for just a sec. Blastomusa and how they grow. For us, they grow really well, but every now and again, they'll come down with a certain ailment of some sort. And that can be super frustrating because they'll literally like double or triple in size and then suddenly just crash. And it's kind of one of those situations of like, why are you dead? Everything was fine. Everything was fine yesterday. And all of a sudden it's going skeletal. So I have a feeling that it might be some bacterial nonsense happening. Okay. So I turned off the flow in this system. We can do a little quick top-down view once this water settles out. Have I ever tried Reefroid paste? Is that different from regular Reefroids? Because I've tried Reefroids. There's a few different types of powdered food that we've messed with in the past. One was Reefroids. One was Benepets. And there's another one that's kind of newer. I think it might be called like Activate or something. And I've heard good things about that, but we haven't. I think we got like a small sample of it, but we haven't really tried it. Yeah, sometimes people don't like to use a lot of these powdered foods in such high concentrations because they can singe corals. The stability of the tripod camera of this thing that I'm holding. Yeah, I'm using a stabilizer, which is a really nice one made by Freefly called a Movi, and this is for a phone. Yep. I've been like super busy doing project management on just like infrastructure projects here that I haven't really been able to do a lot of shopping for new corals lately. But I hope that within the next few months, I'll be able to dedicate a lot more time to that. Okay, scooching around this other way. I'll kick these pumps back on, which are these radions, these Vectra L2s. And that provides the major flow in this tank. Okay, what can we look at next? We've got some Favia here. Oops. Yeah, the thing works a lot more smoothly if you don't bonk it on the glass. And somebody's asking about feather dusters. They spawn. Also, guys, if you did not know, we're running sales all through the month of November. I don't know what category we're on currently. I think this week we might be doing SPS. I could be wrong. But yeah, we're running different sales in different categories of corals the entire month. So we're not doing like a Black Friday one-day sale. It's pretty much the whole month of different things. Okay, so we've got that stuff cooking. And take a look over yonder. This tank should look familiar. This is Becca's. She just published a tank update on this guy. We plan to start filling this out quite a bit more. Silent Todd, any plans to open to the public? Possibly. For us, it's more of a staffing issue more than anything. I would really like to bring somebody in that could be kind of front of house, because at this point, there's a lot of, by the way, this is a quarantine tank that we emptied out the contents that got through quarantine. And so now, right now, it's an anemone system until we clean it up some more. This is our quote-unquote cleaner of the two quarantine systems. And then we have a completely empty quarantine system for SPS. But yeah, to answer your question about whether or not we're going to be back open to taking appointments and stuff, it is really up in the air. If we have to answer sooner rather than later, the answer is going to be no. But hopefully something works itself out. And I'm working on so many other things that staffing is quite low on the priority list right now. This is going to be our new system. Let me back up so I can show you all better what this looks like. This is going to be the start of a 2,500 gallon system. Let me turn on the light, see if this helps. Better. Good. So each of these stands are 10 feet by 4 feet. And this system is really close to where we're going to be doing all of our packing, which, you know, this is the problem. As soon as you have flat surfaces, it gets filled up with junk. So right now, the project at hand is to use that router to drill these holes in anticipation of bulkheads on the bottom of these aquariums. And you would think that that would go a lot more smoothly than it does. It's not done because the router bit broke. Hilarious. So we'll be getting back onto that this weekend probably to cut the rest of these holes. And hopefully by the time, hopefully before the end of the year, we will have the aquariums in place and we can start the slow, arduous process of plumbing these things, which is going to be hilarious because you guys probably don't know. There's a plastic shortage. These 4 by 10 sheets of type 1 PVC, I consider myself very lucky to even get. They cost a fortune. I think that total for the 5 pieces, it might have been over $2,000, something like that. And that's like wholesale on stuff that you can't even buy anymore. Let's see, what other little fun fact? Oh, Schedule 80 PVC is hilariously expensive. It might be double or triple what I paid last time. And the cost of bulkheads is also truly hilarious. So I'm trying to get Spears bulkheads because I really like the Spears versus the less expensive, kind of the budget conscious Schedule 80 bulkheads. So the budget bulkheads, let's say 20 bucks, ballpark. For a Spears bulkhead for 1.5 inches, they're $100 each. $100, and that's assuming you can even get them. So I might not be able to get the bulkheads of my choice because I need 35 of them and I'm not paying nearly $4,000 for bulkheads. Also, this sort of stuff. Gate valves, Spears gates. These are a hefty, good penny, right? I'm gonna need at least 5 of these, and geez, they're probably a couple $100 a piece now. And like I said, I need a bunch of them. Not that fun, but anyway, empty tanks will eventually go here. I will be plumbing it behind the false wall of this bathroom. And the sump will be located over here. Pretty cool. Oh, by the way, I am shooting this live stream on a phone, which is hilarious because I built a multimedia cart system that stabilizes my cinema camera. It's on a vibration dampening vehicle mount. It's got vibration dampening casters. It's all battery powered. It's got a 3-axis Movi gimbal for a cinema camera. And on top of that, it has its own cinema lighting that is tied to a motorized up and down pedestal. So as this thing rolls, I can kind of, I guess it's not pan, but I guess it's like elevate the entire rig up and down, kind of like this type of move on the fly. It's pretty sweet. Yeah. Anyway, for all you audio and video geeks out there, there's that. Also, there is enough room right here for a laptop, and I just got like the new like super powered MacBook Pros, and I could theoretically be live streaming off of that computer with this rig. So if I get really bored, I might set something like that up. And yes, I'm currently using a Canon C200 for my video. My real videos, not like this phone stuff. I really appreciate that you seem to always do the right thing the first time. I try, largely fail at trying, but I am happy with the amount of stuff that I got right, I guess. I will take it. So I would go next door, but the guys are packing. This being like that big sale month, there's been a lot of volume, so I don't want to get in their way. What is the biggest contributor for all your growth? Are you talking about like the growth of the colonies and stuff, or are you talking about the growth of the company? I'm assuming you're talking about corals. I would say that clean water and really good feed and really going heavy on feeding. There's a big difference between corals that are fed versus the ones that are not. So, yeah, when in doubt, just feed the heck out of your corals. Obviously, you don't want to feed too much to the point that you're like running into issues with, nutrients and stuff like that. But overall, I would say feed heavier rather than lighter. All right, just for fun, I'm going to do some feeding here. And I wonder if I can do this with one hand. Okay, so turn off these pumps. I'm going to swing around. Turn off this valve here. Put. Okay. I am likely going to make a big mess. So wish me luck, y'all. But I just kind of like wait till the flow settles a bit. And I'm sorry, I'm gonna like totally miss your comments for the next few seconds because I gotta kind of have to concentrate on this kind of delicate stuff here. But this is about how much I feed these LPS right here. These are the Homophilia bowerbanki, formerly Acanthastria bowerbanki. And I like to feed the ones that want to eat first. Because what that does, okay, I'm at the fines now, so let's spray that in the general direction of the blastos. These blastos are super mad. They've been mad for a while. Again, when it comes to blastos, I think that for us, I think it's like a weird infection issue, which is crazy considering that we do, dip them in stuff that should help treat that. Plus, we run UV sterilizers and everything, but you never know. Occasionally, they get really, really upset, and they go from being huge and happy to just, well, not. But I think that we have more success than losses, so I guess I have to take everything with a grain of salt. Is that the expression I'm looking for? All right, so I've kind of like gotten these guys started. I can blow some of the fines towards some of these other going. But yeah, and again, sorry, all up to date on all the different comments. I had to like stare intently. Does Tidal Gardens ship to the UK? I don't, only to the US. Okay. Grab another batch of food, and we can start feeding these guys. These are Australophilia. They used to be called Symphilia wilsoni, and now they're called Australophilia. Sometimes I put in too much food because it catches a piece of larger piece of krill, and that kind of blocks up my turkey baster. But I want to put in just enough to get to all the different little tentacles. And these guys, when I feed them pretty much religiously, like maybe 2-3 times a week, they get as big as trachees. They look like big red and green and rainbow colored trachees, if you guys can see all that. And I have a little bit of the fines left, so I'll just march it all on over here, and we can just spray this. So somebody said that they've heard that blastomusas hate light. That is entirely possible. So I'll just set this down here for just a moment. So these lights here they're not super duper duper crazy bright. Those are Radeon Gen 4s. So we started to move them into this tank here, just to sample. And this tank is like really dim. It's probably like under 50 par. And we'll see if the Blastos do a little bit better in there. Okay, back to feeding. Okay, so these are some Acan echinatas. Sorry, my camera work might be just like not the best right now because I'm like looking at other things. Just dumping a bunch of mysis and krill onto them. And micromusa lords just love to eat this stuff too. It's probably their favorite. All right, anyway, I can continue that for the next hour if I really wanted to. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna feed this tank here full of fish because these guys are big fat piggies. Look at this. Now, they will consume this amount of food in about 45 seconds. Are there any fish in those systems that I was just feeding? Yes, there are. But I'll tell you what, when we are looking at these smaller systems, smaller meaning like 300 gallons, but smaller specifically in shallow aquariums, it doesn't look like much, but I've noticed that fish tend to be a lot more skittish in shallower tanks. So there's, I think, at least one tang, one foxface, there's a wrasse in there, there's a scooter blenny, and maybe like 3 damsels. And you can see exactly none of them. Oh, okay. You can see what looks like a wrasse right there. Hi, buddy. And I love wrasses. The only problem is I think that they're eating all the Aptasia eating nudibranchs. So knock on wood, if there was wood around here, the Aptasia eating nudibranchs have done a really good job in this tank, but I have a feeling that there's probably going to be like one straggling survivor or something, and it's going to all come back once all of these nudies are taken out of the system. And by taken out, I mean eaten by that wrasse. So I love wrasses, but you do run into the issue of, you know, wrasse is going to do wrasse things. Like if I didn't actually have like real stuff to do occasionally, meaning like, because I have to do so much project management and actually, you know, running the company type stuff, I would literally love just to spend all of my day just like feeding coral. I could do this all day. But unfortunately, that means somebody's got to do the accounting. Somebody's got to, I don't know, do those types of things. But I love this type of work here. Like scraping tanks and feeding corals, no problem. Somebody else gets to enjoy this usually. All right, so anyway, fed just a little bit there. I mean, Look at all this that you could be feeding, right? And this is just one tank. Okay, now I can actually pay attention to the comments. I probably like missed the last half hour, so apologize for that. But yeah, that's what we're looking at here. So the next step, if we could, if the, what do you call it? If the Blastomusa do well on this tank, I will fill this sucker so fast. I do want to find a spot that they really like, whether it's the flow, the nutrient, or whatever it is that's bothering them in another tank. If we can fix that and get them growing, we can frag stuff so quickly here if we really put our minds to it, and the stuff just takes off. Case in point, we're running a big sale on these guys because I mean, look, they're growing so quickly. These are the Flameboy Favites. And yet, theoretically, we could take these guys and frag them, but I think that we already have 8 trays of them, and that's why we're deeply, deeply discounting them right now. We have some Pectinia. Right now we have 3 different kinds, but only 2 different kinds that we sell regularly. The rainbow variety on the right, the Space Invaders on the left. And you kind of have to give them some room because you see the Space Invader wants to fight. What we have is kind of all purple with lighter tips. And I'm hoping that turns into one that we had previously. That was like a really, really cool, like deep purple with almost white tips. A really cool variant. Got a bunch of different mushrooms here. And on the other side, we've got some things going with some Euphilia and some Calastria. So this is kind of funny. These are different types of Montes, right? These are like slow burn Montes, and I forget what the other kind are, Sour Patch or Appleberry. I don't remember. But I have like some really high end ones, like the Kung Pao and all that. But those grow incredibly slowly, whereas these grow super fast. It's kind of strange because they're both the same type of Monte. At some point, I think I will try to do a live stream with the other camera system to see how that works out. I haven't done a live where I had the camera pointed at anything in a really long time, and that might actually look really cool. But this is like just so convenient working off of the phone. But I might give that a go. Oh, I did see somebody's comment asking about tours. We currently do not do that. We used to do a thing where people could make an appointment and come in person and shop and take a look around, but right now that's not quite so much a thing. Hopefully sometime soon we can get back to doing that. Kick on these pumps. Yeah. So I think at some point I'm going to distill this down. What upload speeds do you get there? Crap. I think at most like 20 up. I wish I had fiber. If I had fiber, I'd be sending 4K up like all day. But anyway, you know what? I am slightly curious. Maybe after my meeting, I'll hook up the cinema camera to that other rig and we'll go live again. But yeah, we'll give it a try. I mean, shoot, look at this thing. Ignoring for a moment the camera, this stuff here is absolutely no joke to put together. So yeah, I didn't do all this to not use it. So we'll give it a try later on. Anyways, I will probably stop this here and prep for my meeting, and we'll see about firing up the new camera system and doing another live later. We'll see. All right, talk to you guys later.